Sometimes the people we look down on are the very ones who could change our lives forever. This is the story of a man who had nothing left to lose, and a lawyer who thought he was above everyone, until one name changed everything. The echo of heels against marble. Attorney Dylan Whitford, 38, slick hair, expensive suit, and a voice that always sounded like he was billing by the minute, strutted through the courthouse like he owned it. He didn't even notice the janitor mopping near the door, or the tired single mother clutching a folder of unpaid tickets. To him they were background noise. He was one of the big ones: corporate law, private defense, no case under 5 figures. His motto: if you can't pay, you don't deserve to win. That day his assistant hurried up behind him with a new case file. Assistant: nervous, sir, the public defender's office sent this one over by mistake. Guy's name is Dylan. Cuts her off. If it's from the public defenders, toss it. I don't do charity. He waved his hand dismissively and kept walking toward his office. But the assistant hesitated. Assistant: sir, you might want to see this name first. Dylan sighed, irritated, and snatched the folder from her hand. He flipped it open and froze. Dylan quietly: no, that can't be right. On the file, in bold black ink, the defendant's name read, Marcus Hill. That name hit Dylan like a punch to the gut. He hadn't heard it in 15 years, but he could still remember the night that name ruined his life. Dylan, back then just a law student, was drunk and arrogant, arguing with a friend in the parking lot. He was behind the wheel of his car when a boy, 16, maybe 17, ran past, chased by 2 security guards. The boy tripped. Dylan swerved too slow. The car hit the boy's leg. The guards kept shouting. Police came. And somehow, the kid got blamed for attempted theft, while Dylan walked away clean. Because Dylan's father was a judge. And the boy's mother? Just a janitor. Her name was Mary Hill. The boy she lost that night, the one who spent 2 years in juvie for a crime he didn't commit, was Marcus Hill. Dylan shut the folder fast, his palms sweating. The assistant looked confused. Assistant: should I toss it, sir? He forced a smile. Dylan: no. I'll handle this one personally. But inside he was panicking. Marcus Hill was back, and this time he wasn't some scared teenager. He was a defendant in a case that could expose everything. Marcus sat on the other side of the glass, older now, 31, calm, quiet, eyes deep with something that felt like wisdom and pain. He wore a worn gray hoodie under his orange jumpsuit. When Dylan entered, Marcus didn't even blink. Dylan: Mr. Hill, I'm your attorney. Marcus softly: no. You're the Dylan Whitford. The one who left me for dead. Dylan froze. He didn't think Marcus would recognize him. But Marcus leaned forward, voice calm but cold. Marcus, you remember me now, don't you? Silence. The only sound, the faint buzz of the flickering fluorescent light above them. Dylan, quietly: that was a long time ago. Marcus: not long enough. Marcus leaned back, folding his arms. Marcus, they're saying I broke into a company I used to work for. Stole data. But you know what's funny? Dylan: what's that? Marcus: the company's owned by Whitford Holdings. Dylan's stomach turned to stone. His own father's firm. The son of the man who once ruined Marcus's life was now his lawyer. And the case? Connected to the same powerful family who destroyed him years ago. Fate had a strange way of settling debts. Marcus sat quietly beside Dylan. The prosecutor smirked, a young man from Whitford's circle. Prosecutor: Your Honor, the defendant was caught trespassing and stealing proprietary data from a private firm. We request maximum sentencing. Dylan's hands trembled slightly as he stood. His voice cracked at first, then steadied. Dylan: Your Honor, my client has spent his entire life trying to make something of himself after being wronged by this very system. If anyone deserves a fair hearing, it's Marcus Hill. People in the courtroom glanced up, surprised to hear Dylan Whitford defending a man like Marcus. Even Marcus looked puzzled. But Dylan wasn't doing it out of kindness. He was doing it out of guilt and fear. Because if Marcus spoke, if he told what happened that night 15 years ago, the Whitford name would crumble. Marcus and Dylan stood apart from the crowd. Rain started to fall, soft and cold. Marcus: why are you really helping me, Dylan? Dylan: because you deserve justice. Marcus chuckled bitterly. Marcus: justice? Or silence? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Marcus, you think I didn't recognize your father's name on those company papers? I know what this case really is. Dylan swallowed hard. Marcus, relax. I'm not out for revenge. He looked away, eyes distant. Marcus, I just want truth. Real truth. For once. That night, Dylan couldn't sleep. He sat in his dark apartment, watching the city lights flicker against the glass. He remembered the look in Marcus's eyes, not anger, just exhaustion. And something inside him broke. For the first time in his life, Dylan wanted to make it right. So he dug into the case. Page after page he found documents, contracts, security reports, hidden memos. And that's when he found it. The company Marcus was accused of stealing from was already under federal investigation for laundering money through charity funds. And guess who had signed the approval papers? Judge Alan Whitford, Dylan's father. Dylan sat back in his chair, trembling. Everything Marcus had said was true. His family had built their empire on lies, on ruined lives, including Marcus's. And now the son was the only one who could expose it. Dylan approached Marcus before the next hearing. His tie was loose, his eyes tired. Dylan, I can prove your innocence. Marcus, you found something, didn't you? Dylan nodded. Dylan, if I bring this forward, it'll destroy my family's firm. My father's career. Everything he's built. Marcus looked him dead in the eye. Marcus, then maybe it's time someone paid for what they built on other people's pain. Dylan stood before the judge, voice firm, every word echoing through the silent room. Dylan, Your Honor, new evidence shows my client was framed by members of Whitford Holdings to cover up illegal financial operations. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. The prosecutor stammered. The judge frowned. Judge, are you suggesting your own firm is guilty of misconduct, Mr. Whitford? Dylan hesitated, then nodded. Dylan, yes, Your Honor. Cameras flashed. Reporters scribbled. Marcus sat still, watching with quiet disbelief as the man who once destroyed his life now risked his own to save him. The judge ordered a recess, chaos unfolding as security escorted lawyers and reporters out. For the first time, Dylan felt free. The chains of his family's corruption were breaking. And Marcus Hill, the man everyone once looked down on, was the reason he found his soul again. But justice never comes without a cost. He poured a glass of water, hands shaking. His phone buzzed, an unknown number. He answered. A low voice on the other end said, You just made a mistake, son. The line went dead. He stared at the phone, heart pounding. He knew that voice. It was his father. Marcus arrived early, holding a small envelope. Inside, old photos, newspaper clippings, and a confession letter. He planned to hand it to Dylan before the next hearing. But Dylan never showed up. A black car idled across the street, tinted windows, engine humming. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Something wasn't right. He walked toward the courthouse, but before he could enter, a man in a dark coat brushed past him, whispering, You should have stayed quiet. Then slipped an envelope into Marcus's pocket and disappeared into the crowd. Marcus opened it. Inside was a photo, Dylan sitting in his car, head slumped against the window. A red circle drawn around his face. And underneath, one line written in black ink. Next hearing never comes. The same system that tried to silence Marcus once was now coming for the only man who dared to stand beside him. And Marcus knew, if he wanted the truth to live, he'd have to fight back. Not as a victim this time, but as the man fate had been preparing him to become. Sometimes the ones they call broke are the richest in truth. And sometimes, the powerful don't realize who they've been underestimating until it's too late. But this story? This one isn't over. Because when Marcus opens that envelope again, he finds something inside that changes everything. Attorney Dylan Whitford took on a case he was never meant to see. A case that forced him to face the sins of his own family. He chose truth over power, and paid the price. Now Marcus Hill, the man once branded a criminal, is about to uncover a secret buried deeper than anyone imagined. Rain fell steady on the courthouse steps. Reporters crowded near the door, shouting questions that no one answered. Inside his coat, Marcus Hill gripped the envelope tighter, the one slipped into his pocket the day before. Inside it, a single haunting photo of Dylan, head slumped, eyes closed, and the message, Next hearing never comes. Marcus had spent half his life running from injustice. Now it was chasing him again. But this time, he wasn't running. He was hunting. The place was quiet. The blinds half open. Coffee still warm on the desk. Papers scattered, as if someone left in a hurry. Marcus searched every drawer, every file. Then he saw it, a small flash drive taped under the keyboard. A yellow sticky note with 3 words, Trust no one. He slipped it into his pocket just as footsteps echoed down the hall. Voice off-screen, Mr. Hill? You shouldn't be here. It was Detective Maya Johnson, the one assigned to Dylan's disappearance. Her blazer was soaked, her eyes sharp but weary. Maya, they said you were seen arguing with him. Marcus, that's a lie. Maya, maybe. But it doesn't matter right now. You need to come with me. Marcus hesitated, then followed. Something in her tone told him she wasn't his enemy, yet. Maya, you think you're the only one who lost something? Dylan was about to go public. He had evidence, names, transfers, accounts tied to Whitford Holdings. Then he vanished. Marcus, you think your department's gonna do anything about that? She looked at him, eyes tired. Maya, not if the department's already in their pocket. Silence. The city lights blurred through the windshield. Marcus reached into his jacket and showed her the flash drive. Maya, where did you get that? Marcus, his office. It was hidden. She slowed the car, thinking. Maya, you know if you plug that in you could be next. Marcus, then I guess I'll die trying. He wasn't scared anymore. After years of being silenced, Marcus had finally found something worth risking everything for: truth. Maya led Marcus to an old cafe on the outskirts of town. The same cafe where Samuel Carter once used to work before it shut down years ago. Only one light still worked in the corner. Marcus placed the flash drive into his laptop. For a second, nothing. Then file after file appeared. Bank transfers. Hidden accounts. Millions funneled through charities and community projects. One folder caught his eye: Confidential, Operation Clean Slate. He opened it and froze. Inside were sealed court documents, his juvenile case from 15 years ago, the accident, the falsified witness statements, the judge's signature. Judge Alan Whitford, Dylan's father. Marcus leaned back, rage and disbelief mixing in his chest. Marcus, he destroyed my life. And his son tried to fix it. Maya scrolled further. There was one more file, labeled with a single date: yesterday. She clicked. A security camera feed loaded, grainy but clear enough. Dylan Whitford, sitting in his car outside the courthouse, talking to someone through the window. The other man stepped into view. It wasn't a stranger. It was Sergeant Cole Bryant, the same cop who dragged Marcus through the rain 15 years ago. The same one who swore he was resisting arrest. Now he was meeting Dylan in secret. And hours later, Dylan disappeared. Maya, that's my department. Bryant's been there longer than me. If he's involved, Marcus, then we can't trust the police. Not anyone. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. Marcus, we go straight to the press. Maya shook her head. Maya, if the Whitfords still control the courts, the media won't touch it. They'll bury the story before it hits the air. Marcus clenched his fists. Marcus, then we leak it online. We make the world see what they did. Maya hesitated, then nodded slowly. Maya, all right. But first we need to make sure that drive isn't traced. I know someone who can help. A young tech hacker named Rico, Maya's old informant, sat behind a cluttered desk. He plugged the drive into a secure terminal, code flickering across the screen. Rico, this is serious heat, man. Whoever set this up had military-grade encryption. You sure you want to poke this bear? Marcus, I've been the bear's meal for 15 years. Time to bite back. Rico smirked, fingers flying across the keyboard. Then suddenly his screen flashed red. Alert, connection detected. Trace initiated. Rico's smile faded. Rico, someone's trying to track the signal. Maya, cut it off. Rico, too late, they're in the system. The power cut out. Darkness swallowed the room. Only the faint glow of Marcus's laptop remained, and a message typed itself across the screen. You were warned, Marcus. Footsteps outside. Voices. Men shouting. MOA whispers, they found us. Move. They darted through the back door into the alley, rain pouring down. Marcus clutched the drive tight against his chest. Behind them, Rico yelled from the window. Rico, go. I'll stall them. Gunshots cracked. The window shattered. Rico fell silent. Maya grabbed Marcus's arm and pulled him into the shadows. Maya, we can't stop now. He died for this. We finish it. They ran through the storm, hunted by men who hid behind badges and bank accounts. Two souls against a machine built on power and secrets. But truth has a way of finding its way to light, even in the darkest rain. They took refuge inside. Marcus set the flash drive on the altar, staring at the flickering candles left behind by some forgotten prayer group. Marcus, my whole life they said justice was blind. But maybe, it's just looking the other way. Maya stood beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. Maya, you're not the same kid they framed, Marcus. You've got power now, the truth. Use it. Marcus nodded slowly. Marcus, we exposed them all. Every name. Every file. No more hiding. Maya's phone buzzed. A message. No number. Just one line. We have Dylan. Marcus took the phone from her hand, staring at the message, his jaw tightening. Marcus, quietly, he's alive. Amway, or it's a trap. He looked at her, eyes burning with resolve. Marcus, either way, I'm not running this time. The hunted man was now the hunter. And the truth he carried was enough to shake an empire. But in a world where power buries its sins deep, sometimes the truth can cost more than freedom. Injustice doesn't die easily. It hides. It waits. Until someone brave enough drags it into the light. Marcus Hill was that light. But light attracts shadows. And somewhere in the dark, those shadows were already moving. Never underestimate the pain of the forgotten. Because one day the forgotten might be the only ones brave enough to remember. Power can silence people, but it can't erase truth. If this story touched your soul, don't just scroll. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned, because every story we tell carries a truth that needs to be heard.